Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to introduce you to Eyle. Eyle is the founder of Teaming to help a lot with a little. Teaming is neither a company nor an end goal. It's simply an idea to improve the world. Teaming is a charitable initiative to combine microdonations that individually would not be viable. This is the benefit of the teamwork. Teaming in a company means that every employee who so wishes donates €1 from his or her monthly salary, and then the company collects and forwards the donation. All the employees together choose which cause to support each month without having to worry about anything, like administration. So, without much delay, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Eyle.
Morning. Does this work? Yes, it does work. Thank you very much for the introduction, for the invitation. My name is Eyle. I'm Dutch, although I've lived in Spain for almost 15 years now, so I almost feel more Spanish than Dutch. Yes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this charitable initiative I call Teaming. But before doing that, I would like to share with you my personal story, just to give you a better idea how this idea started. This is a personal story. In the beginning you might think, well, what does this story has to do with, let's say, our Congress? But I think during my presentation it's easier to understand. This story starts in October '98 when my first daughter was born. She's called Monica, and she was born with very serious brain damage. Well, these things happen. It was the 7th month of pregnancy. Until that moment everything went perfectly well. But then, the typical thing, the doctor tells you that there is a terrible illness, and he even predicted that my daughter would live until 3 or 4 years. She's 12 now, but she is seriously affected. Because of this brain damage, she's now completely deaf, well, almost blind, cannot walk, she's in a wheelchair, has the mental level of a recently born baby. If I tell it this way, it sounds horrible, and of course it's a big problem in the family, but what I want to share with you is the positive side of all this, because basically thanks, between brackets, to her circumstances, this charitable initiative Teaming was born, and I even dare to admit that I'm quite happier now than before she was born, because basically there's a before and after of this story, because to resume a little bit my life before my daughter Monica was born, I must say it was completely material and especially individual. I always thought that happiness was or would be having a fast car, having loads of money, and to be honest, until my daughter Monica was born, I never thought about helping people. Really, my life was really myself, myself and I. When I was 15, it's a small anecdote, but just to give you an idea how my life was and how obsessed I was by making money, I had only one goal in life, and this goal was achieving a Porsche before I'm 30. It's a bit of a strange objective, but I even must say I achieved it, because there's also a story behind that, because when I was 8, my parents, they divorced. It was the typical case that my father left, and we never knew anything more about him, and because of this circumstance, or perhaps because of this frustration, I started designing my own dreams, my own goals, and I think I just want to show myself, or perhaps indirectly to my father, that I don't need anybody and that I'm just able to achieve anything, and therefore my goal was having a Porsche before you are 30, because I thought this must be really happiness. Then I started working on this dream. I must say that this dream basically was converted into a sort of obsession, because my life was really designed only to achieve this Porsche. I set up my own company, and this company in the beginning was very successful. I started when I was 25. When I was 28, I already had 50 employees, operational in different countries. And as you can guess, the first thing I did when the things went well, I bought my Porsche, and I still remember very well that the first day I was driving around in the center of Amsterdam where I lived. Of course, I was the happiest man of the world. Suddenly I had loads of friends, really all the nice girls watching me, and I thought, you see, this is really what I wanted to achieve. This is really happiness. What happened then is is that my goal was so individual, was so material, and I achieved this goal. And then I started really forgetting about my company. I really started to make big mistakes, and basically because of my own fault, all the thing I set up, all this company that went so well, it went bankrupt. I don't enter in details now because I think that what I'm going to tell you after my daughter Monica was born, it's quite more interesting. But this company was bankrupt. I lost completely everything. First of all, of course, as you can imagine, I had to give back my Porsche, but I also lost my house, my clothes, everything. And at that moment, I really thought this was the end of the world, because I thought, what could be worse than just losing money? Of course, it was before my daughter was born with this serious brain damage. I must say that now I look back at this period and this bankruptcy, basically I see it as a positive experience, because you learn so much. You learn so much of your own mistakes, and it's also interesting to see how a bankruptcy is analyzed in different countries. Because in the United States, where I traveled quite a lot for my company, it was always to me interesting to see that a bankruptcy, people, they really put it, and they're really sometimes proud of it. They put it on their CV. I've even met headhunters in the United States who are only looking for people who experienced bankruptcies. And basically, I fully agree, because my bankruptcy was my best MBA I've done. And these headhunters looking for people who have this bankruptcy experience. They just think people who are young, creative, they have courage. Okay, they make mistakes they will not make again. So they have a certain value. And because of this experience, when I already lived in Spain, I also wanted to put this bankruptcy on my CV. But my friends in Spain, they told me, no, here don't put this. Don't even mention that you went bankrupt, because here this is called a problem. So it's interesting to see how a crisis in one culture is seen as something positive. In this case, the crisis was the bankruptcy, and in other cultures, it's like something negative. Again, this was basically my life. I went through this bankruptcy. I also must say that, I wrote a book before my daughter was born about the importance of teamwork, because I knew perfectly well that my biggest problem was not working as a team. I was so individual, and I thought, instead of doing loads of courses and starting to read a lot of books about how to improve teamwork, what I did was just starting to write a book without having any experience. I'm not going to tell you a lot more about this book, because a couple of months ago I just went through this book. I read it again, and I must say it's a horrible book. It's terrible. I don't recommend this book to anybody. But it's sometimes these experiences that put you into other directions. I just tell this as a small introduction, because in a few minutes I will come back to this book. But again, my life was, before Monica was born, completely material. I had this bankruptcy experience. I had this dream fighting for my Porsche. I achieved it. I also lost it all. And then, going back to this introduction, my daughter was born. As you can imagine, and I think you don't have to be a father or a mother to understand that this is a terrible experience, especially when doctors are telling you that, in the beginning they told us my daughter was going to live for a couple of hours, then it was a couple of days, then they said, as I mentioned in the introduction, a couple of months, couple of years. And of course, this is so shocking that in the first days you don't even realize you are a father for the first time. But I remember very well that when my daughter was really fighting for her life, I was really impressed by seeing the attitude of doctors, nurses. I was really impressed by the way they were helping my daughter and the way they were helping other children. And it was like something or somebody was telling me, like, hey, look at these people, look what they are doing, and what have you done so far in your life to help people. It was even a feeling like I want to be like them. I really admired the people. Of course, you're also in a very emotional state, but I really admired the people, and there was something telling me like I want to be like them. I'm an economist, so I of course cannot be from one day to the other a doctor. I couldn't do the same job, but I was already quite convinced at that time that I was going to develop something that would be in order to help people. Then, well, time passed by. Monica, my daughter, basically went from one miracle to the other. A lot of doctors don't still understand, well, that she is here, that she is alive. Well, I can talk for hours and hours about that. But when Monica was 1 and finally she could leave hospital, she was treated in small NGOs, small foundations in Barcelona, where I live. And again, I was so impressed by people working for these NGOs, working for these foundations, seeing this attitude, you know, people working from their heart with such a passion I had never seen in my own company or in other multinationals I had worked for. And I was really, again, very impressed by the attitude of these people. And again, something told me that I wanted to be like them. But I still didn't know very much or very clear what I could really develop in order to improve this world. And then, well, time passed by. I knew very closely all these NGOs, and I also saw very closely a thing we all know, that there are very positive projects, there are very great ideas, but of course there's a big lack of funds, especially just lack of money, you know. Therefore I thought, okay, what I can do is let's say the traditional fundraising method, which I did. I was just trying to help small NGOs where they were treating my daughter. I just contacted companies. I talked to one person, I presented one project, and I asked for one amount, like 5,000 euros, 10,000 euros. And I realized that it was really difficult to achieve funds this way. And I talk about the year 2000, 2001. So as you can imagine, these days, in this big world crisis, it's even more difficult to achieve and to raise funds for small NGOs this way. But I think, as everything in life, things they are born because of experiences and inspired by this experience, basically my teaming idea was born. And this teaming idea, and Sarah already told it in the introduction, it's so simple that sometimes it makes it hard to explain. Because of this experience, I thought, just to raise funds where people don't even notice a difference in the pocket, what I can do is contact with the same organizations, talk to the same people, but instead of rather asking for one big amount, what I'm going to ask is for teamwork. I thought that it must be possible that in an organization, on a voluntary basis, the employees that want to, they just give €1 of their payroll. I think we all agree that €1 per month is the same as nothing. It's a completely symbolic amount. These euros, you put them on an internal account of the company, so I don't touch anything, I just spread the idea. And well, depending on the size of the organization, of course, this is generating lots of funds, repeating every month. So this is the, let's say, the financial part of this idea I called teaming. And the other part, and I think this is really, really nice, is that the people who want to, the people who participate in this teaming exercise in organizations, the people who want to, they propose social projects where they can, well, give these funds to. And after 6 months, after 1 year, for example, there's a democratic way of choosing, let's say, the winner between all these proposals. This is, again, teaming. Sarah also told it in the introduction, teaming is not an NGO, teaming is not a foundation, it's not a company, it doesn't have employees, it doesn't have offices, it doesn't have a bank account, that's the most important thing, it's just an idea. It's transparent, it's voluntary, it's democratic, but I really emphasize that it's only an idea. If you explain it this way, and that's what happened to me at the first stage, when I just started contacting people and contacting companies with this very simple idea, people, they just didn't trust me. They thought this is very suspicious, you know, a guy just telling us apply this idea and you just don't want to have anything back for that. And I was really disappointed. I just couldn't understand why it was so difficult to start up this idea. But this idea, I don't know if you can see the website at this moment, or I think it doesn't work anymore. It worked before. Well, anyway, it's not so important. If you go to the website teaming.info, that's like a guidebook, a virtual guidebook where I explain how to apply this idea in your organizations. If you see that website, perhaps we can see it now. It's now translated into 13 languages, even in Japanese and Russian. This simple idea is now, well, it was converted into, let's say, international movement. Doesn't stop growing, and the last concrete figure we have is that more than 1,000 companies are applying this simple idea. Companies between 15 employees until multinationals with 5,000 employees doing teaming, which is already generating 5,000 euros per month. Normally, and almost in all cases, the companies, they match the amount, because the management of most companies, they say where €1 per month is symbolic for any employee, to match this amount for any company, this is well, as symbolic. So in, for example, big multinationals, they are already generating 10,000 euros per month doing teaming. Of course, this is generating, accumulating a lot of funds, and then between participants, people they just propose NGOs they know personally, and then after 6 months, after a year, there's just let's say democratic election. Again, I could talk hours and hours about teaming, about how the way it works. I could give practical examples, but I think all the information is in this website. This is also where you can contact me. What I wanted to do is basically sharing with you, the past few years, how I had to fight for this dream and how it really started working. Because again, in the beginning, it was just mission impossible. Nobody understood me. But I think that if you really have a dream and you feel it from your heart and you really believe in this dream, well, at least I have noticed that then sometimes small miracles happen. Because I must say, in the beginning, when I really believed in this idea, and there was a first website only in Spanish, because I live in Spain and I started this idea here, I thought that, well, there were already many people visiting my website, and it was quite shocking to me seeing the first statistics, that was only 4 visitors, knowing that 1 visitor was myself, the other visitor was my wife, and I think 2 who just came there by mistake. So again, this was just the situation of teaming, but again, when you really believe in this dream, you just never have to throw the towel in the ring and just go for it. What happened by then is that going back to this first book I wrote about teamwork, there was a prologue in this book about ex-football players, and I had some contacts with the sports journalists. And one day, a sports journalist is calling me, and she said, Frank Rijkaard, perhaps you know him, it's the ex-football Club Barcelona manager, the ex-Barca trainer. He's also Dutch, and in 2005, Football Club Barcelona contracted him. And one of these, journalists, friends of mine, they contacted me, telling me that Frank Rijkaard and his family are looking for a personal assistant, personal advisor, a Dutch person knowing Barcelona, looking for their house, managing their contract, and this way, well, she just put me in contact with Frank Rijkaard. Of course, for me, this was quite shocking, because this was a period in which, basically everything went wrong. So teaming, there was no way to start it up. It was really mission impossible. My daughter Monica was really in a bad situation. She was months and months in hospital. They fired me in the company I was working for, because, of course, I wanted to be with my daughter. Economically, I just didn't have anything anymore. I just even had to accept a job in a call center. I mean, every job is very respectable, but for me, of course, it was quite another level compared with my glory period, driving my Porsche and traveling all over the world in business class, and then I had to accept this job. And then when everything, it looked like it was everything against me and against teaming, and everything went wrong, then from one day to the other, I started working for Frank Rijkaard at Football Club Barcelona. When Frank listened to me about teaming, because I just explained this idea to anybody I knew, and when Frank was listening to me, he was the one who said, listen, this idea is really strong, there's a lot of potential. I think what you need is credibility, what you need is spreading the idea. What do you think if I support you, if I give you, just with my name, with my image, we can do press conferences together, and let's see if this way we can develop this idea better, because he really loved the first teaming idea. You can imagine what happened after that moment. I wanted to show a video, but it's not possible now. But the idea of teaming never changed. But if you explain this same idea, nobody understood, but you explain it together with a famous guy sitting next to you, well, you can imagine what happens. Suddenly all the press shows up. Suddenly another editor, one of the biggest here in Spain, offered us to write a book about teaming together. This book is already quite better than the first book I wrote, by the way. And from that moment on, teaming started growing. It was a kind of snowball effect, and this snowball is still, still moving. It was incredible to see how from that moment on, teaming was not only developing in Spain, but you see all these translations here, and they are all done on a voluntary basis. There's, for example, a Japanese guy who contacted me. He discovered teaming because he read it in the press, because I did these presentations together with Frank. And he said, I love this idea. I want to translate teaming in Japanese, and I want to move this idea in my country. This was a couple of years ago. And now, thanks to him, in Japan, there are already more than 100 teaming cases, generating a lot of help. I've never been in Japan, and this is the beauty of it, that it's a movement in the hands of the users, and the users are even improving it. So again, this is basically the teaming story. It's also interesting to see how teaming developed in the companies, because as you can imagine, in some companies teaming is really easy to set up, because if there is a good internal communication, if there is a little bureaucracy, if there is little distance between, let's say, the management and the employees, teaming works well, and basically everything works well. But I have also seen the other side, that sometimes people, they just wanted to start up teaming in their organization, but for the same reasons, but let's say the other way around, bad communication, lots of bureaucracy, bad ambience, their teaming wasn't possible, and basically nothing was possible. This idea, the University of Barcelona, they started researching it, and there's now even academic literature about teaming, which for me is, of course, as you can imagine, quite impressive. And it just turned out that teaming in the organizations is now a kind of a method to measure if your organization is really able to work as a team. Because if something so simple and so transparent and so social as teaming is not possible to move in your organization, which, well, you've got something to think about. Because lots of human resources managers, they told me and they confirmed me that thanks to this teaming exercise, they just changed their internal communication, for example. Because again, if something like teaming is not possible to move and to develop in your company, you might have a big problem. Teaming is also now developing outside companies. I come back later to that, but also just to tell you a little anecdote about how teaming started and how it was growing. And as I said before, if you really start believing in a dream, small miracles happen. Because when I saw that the effect of Frank Rijkaard giving his public support to teaming was so big, I thought, well, I have to look for other people, other famous people giving support to teaming. This was the year 2005, 2006, and I just made my own, let's say, wish list. And then I thought, well, I'm going to contact with the singer, with Shakira. It doesn't matter if you like her music or not, but I thought, of course, she's very famous, reaches loads of people, she's very solidary, has got big foundations, and I'm going to contact with Shakira. Why not? Of course, she doesn't know me, and my wife also told me, how are you going to contact with her? This is impossible. And I thought, well, just going to give it a try. I'm just going to contact with her foundation in Colombia, and let's say if someone answers me. And as you can imagine, I sent the first mail, the second mail, third mail, no answer at all. There was a fourth mail, no answer at all. And then I thought, okay, here we leave it. There must be some reason that it's impossible to contact with her. But then at the same day, when I had sent this fourth mail to the foundation of Shakira, something incredible happened, because at the same afternoon I had to do a job at home of Frank Rijkaard, where I met his gardener, and this gardener, a very nice guy from Ecuador, and he told me, can you help me a little bit? This is very heavy stuff, and I just had to hold up a sunscreen, and just having all this in my arm, and he was just telling me, do you remember this other house I'm working in a little bit outside Barcelona, where, this was a gardener just working working for different houses. And I said, yeah, I remember. How is everything going in that house? And I said, guess who is living in that house now since last week? And I said, well, I don't have a clue. And he told me Shakira with all her team. And I said, this is impossible. You know, they're filming me. This is, as I told you, I'm an economist. I like, you know, calculating probabilities, and this is just impossible to explain. And this gardener, he was just telling me, yeah, she is starting her world tour now. This was 2006. At that moment, there wasn't any relationship between Shakira and Football Club Barcelona. Nowadays, there is some, as some of you might know. But the gardener was just telling me that by coincidence, she was there with her team in that house because her world tour was starting. And I was really thinking that there are so many countries in the world, you know, to start a world tour. But the coincidence or not was that this was Spain. And then once you elected Spain, there are so many houses to install for a couple of months. But then, coincidence or not, she installed in that house. And then I thought, you know, this is an opportunity I've got only once. Let's see if I'm able to explain this teaming idea to the gardener, and let's see if the gardener is able to explain teaming to Shakira, because I think this was a big opportunity. And well, basically, to resume a little bit this part, this is what happened. I told to the gardener, you explain it to Shakira, and let's see what happens. And then, well, I went home. I told this story so far to my wife, and she also was watching me and saying, "You slept very little lately. Perhaps you know, you need to sleep a little bit because this is impossible." And we were just joking about the fact that now Shakira is going to call me to give public support to teaming. Well, Shakira didn't call me directly, but the same day, already quite later, I had a very strange phone call. You know, these large numbers that you don't know where they're calling from. And well, a lady answered me with a Latin American accent, and she was telling me, well, in Spanish of course, but she was telling me, hello, my name is Gabriela Diaz, I'm the personal manager of Shakira, and we are all sitting here together with the gardener, who is telling us something very urgent about a big social project. How can we help you? And this is really the way it went. Shakira even confirmed it this way a year later in an interview. And it was really incredible because, well, she invited us for the concert. We knew her a couple of weeks later because, of course, they wanted to know more about teaming before giving her name to, before giving her public support to teaming. But, well, they contacted us again. Gabriela, the manager, told me that Shakira, she loves teaming and she wants to give public support to teaming. We were just right on time for including some pages, Shakira writing about teaming in the book I was publishing together with Frank Rijkaard. And as you can imagine, this caused a lot of teaming, especially in Latin America. Well, of course, this is a small miracle. I must say that since Monica was born, well, basically every day these kind of small miracles are happening to me. So there's something mysterious going on over there. The other conclusion after this story I also have for myself is that it's so important to be in contact with absolutely anybody, because look what was behind this gardener, and look how he helped actually developing teaming. And what I see sometimes in companies that, and really I was one of them, that we are so obsessed by networks, contacting the important people, and we forget about the fact that it's so important just to be in touch with anybody, because you never know what a person can do for you or what you can do for that person. So that's well, one of the conclusions from this story. Apart from that, and I just tell you quickly, because I also want to have some time for taking questions. But well, I've also learned, and this is very well important on a personal basis, is that since my daughter was born, and as I told you at the introduction, she is really seriously affected. She's in a wheelchair, but I really am happier now, and I learned so much from her because again, before she was born, my life was so material, and we all have this idea that happiness is about having loads of money and then you can do loads of things. But I just discovered that it's all about balance. You know, I'm quite a lucky guy, and I live very well, but I just have seen that I don't need anything else. My passion, my big dream now is developing teaming. Even on a personal basis, that's also very important for me to share with you, is that Monica, she's even teaching me loads of things. First of all, is just enjoying, let's say, the really small moments, because there are so many theories about, that we have to enjoy today. We don't have to be worried about the future. We don't have to be worried about the past. I think we all know these theories, but in our world, it's inevitable that we think about the rent we have to pay next month or things we did wrong a couple of months ago. I'm one of them, because again, in our world, it's inevitable to think that way. But my daughter, because of her, circumstances, of course, my daughter doesn't know what tomorrow is. She doesn't know what yesterday is. She just, because of her circumstances, enjoys intensively just eating an ice cream, or she can enjoy so much, the rain or the wind, and she is really reminding me every day how important it is just to enjoy today, enjoy small moments, and that's really what I learned from her. And sometimes I explain this to my friends, let's say from my more material period, and they are watching me and they say, are you a hippie now, or what happened to you? But I really believe this, because I really feel that Monica came here as a kind of master to help me and to help a lot of people, because of her circumstances, Teaming was born. And Teaming nowadays is generating more than 200,000 euros a month, spread over 1,000 different projects, and it doesn't stop growing. The other, let's say, reflection or conclusion, what is really positive for me, what happened in the past few years, is that because of the circumstances of Monica, I just don't have any fear anymore to anything, because we live in a world with so many fears. I think we're always very blocked by having fears. I think we all have our dreams, but I think we all recognize that, fear, just being afraid, can really stop your dreams, and it really creates a lot of barriers. And as you can imagine, with my daughter, we've experienced so many extreme situations. One of them is quite recent. 1.5 years ago, for example, she had to go through a very difficult operation because of her, let's say, brain damage. A lot of children like her, they die because it's a kind of technical story, but they have a problem in the back. They are not straight anymore. This touches the lungs, and then they have really breathing problems. Monica had this problem, and one doctor told us that it was impossible to operate her because it would be an operation of more than 10 hours, and we just had to accept that this was basically the end. Sometimes doctors, they are really direct, and this is the way they told us. Another doctor, they told us, okay, we can give it a try, but just you have to accept that there's like a 20% chance that she's going to survive it. And of course, this was the only option, so that's what we tried, and Monica's here, so everything went well. But sometimes I explain this situation because, as you can imagine, and you don't have to be a father or a mother to understand that if doctors tell you this and you have to join your daughter to, let's say, the operation area, and they remind you one more time that, again, an 80% possibility that she's not going to survive, that basically you are not going to see your daughter again. If you've experienced these kind of situations and you give her, let's say, the last kiss and you say goodbye to her, this is not even fear. I don't even know how to describe it. But what I want to say with this is that once you have experienced these situations, what before